Okay, boys and girls, here we go with part 2 of our unit on Industrial Revolution. Today we're going to be looking at 3 economic systems that emerged around this time: capitalism, communism, and socialism. So, this section of notes is very short. However, there's a lot of understanding of these 2 different systems. So, make sure you know the basic concepts of each, and I think that will help you from the get-go. All right, capitalism. Capitalism was kind of the main system during this time. So you have capitalism and market competition fueled the Industrial Revolution. Wealth increased the standard of living for the middle and upper classes. So people were making a lot of money, and they were enjoying that money, as you can see here in the little pictures here. So capitalism is all about competition. Okay, making as much money, being as successful as you can, while possibly putting others out of business, out of competition, etc. Social dislocations. The poor and unskilled denied jobs and opportunities associated with capitalism produced a range of economic and political ideas, including socialism and communism. So you had capitalism emerging as the dominant force in Europe, in the United States, in England, but you also had a counter to that, a different answer or a different solution to what was happening, and that was communism and socialism. In capitalism, there are no guarantees of success. Risks are taken. Individuals have choice. There are winners and losers, and there is competition in the market. Okay. So with capitalism, you don't necessarily, if it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out. Okay. One of the forerunners of a lot of this economic theory was Adam Smith, who wrote the very famous and influential book, The Wealth of Nations. In the book, he basically outlines the role of market competition and entrepreneurial abilities, which are ideas, demand for goods. And again, there was a huge impact on standard of living and the growth of the middle class. So with capitalism, not necessarily, everybody doesn't enjoy that success. Okay, you have a lot of money at the top, and at the bottom, again, you have the idea of people being successful, not successful, the winners and losers, if you will, within the system. Here's one copy of his book, or what it might look like. Some commentary here on capitalism. Work, buy, consume, die. Here's a political cartoon, again, criticizing capitalism. Okay, you've got the super rich at the top, the middle class and the poor kind of are very uncertain as to what's going to happen to them. There's a lot more risk being in the middle and lower classes than there are being at the top of that pyramid. All right, socialism and communism. Now, socialism and communism also stem from industrialization as a answer to what they saw as the exploitation and evil of greedy industrialists, bankers, etc., taking advantage of poor people, working them to death while getting super rich. Okay. In socialism and communism, resources are shared. The government decides the role of the individual, and there is a lack of choice. Now, so one main difference between these two: socialism is more of an economic system, whereas communism is an economic and political system. And socialism can kind of work with capitalism. You do have competition, you do have some freedom in the market, whereas communism wants to really kind of eliminate capitalism altogether and get rid of it. 2 key individuals in the early development of these ideas. You had Karl Marx and Friedrich Engels, and together they wrote the Communist Manifesto. okay, which kind of outlined the goals, the characteristics, the plans of this new idea that would kind of spread across parts of Europe, other parts of the world, and obviously take us through the Cold War after the Second World War, which we'll talk about later. And then Marx wrote another book on his own called Das Kapital, again discussing capitalism versus communism, the evils of capitalism versus the goodness of the communist system, if you will. And both of these books were a response to the injustices of capitalism. The rich exploit the lower classes for profit. The poor people are kind of wasting away in the factories, the mines, while you have the rich people kind of just living it up and enjoying a very comfortable lifestyle. And another important piece of communism is the redistribution of wealth. So that was very important to communists, the redistribution of wealth. Okay. So you'll see in this little graphic here, this is taking a shot at capitalism. Up top you've got obviously the money, which is the ruling icon here, and you've got the top classes. We rule you, we fool you. Okay, we shoot at you. Okay, and then you've got the military or the police, and you've got the other rich people kind of living it up, enjoying the lifestyle. Okay, and then down at the bottom, okay, we work for you, we work for all, we feed all. It says we eat for you, but you can see that these people are, if you look at the whole thing here, and you got this little poor person here, it looks like they're dead or passed out from exhaustion. You can see the whole piece here. Capitalism is built on the backs of the poor working class. All right, so kind of a criticism of capitalism. So obviously you had a dissatisfaction with poor working conditions and the unequal distribution of wealth in society. All right, so down here you got your poor working conditions, and then obviously the wealth is not being distributed evenly. Okay, and again, keep in mind that these people were not paid nearly enough for what they were doing. Okay, they were exploited. It wasn't like these guys should give half their money to all this, but I mean, kind of the criticism was, hey, these people aren't getting paid a fair wage. So that was a major problem, which would lead to the rise of labor unions, which we'll talk about in the next part. So finish those up. Also check out that graphic in Schoology. It's very big, so if you open it, you'll have to zoom in and move over to different parts, but it kind of breaks down the three systems that we just talked about.